All right, now how is autism likely to affect people in relationships? And basically, let's get into the relationship dilemma. Now, a lot of times, everybody struggles with relationships, and it's not just autism. People tend to railroad autism into a lot of stereotypes. And so I'm going to dissect this down. Why do they do this? Now, first of all, people say the word creepy. Now, what is creepy? Creepy is where a guy may make somebody a little uncomfortable, so they stop thinking rationally, and then they may start railroading him into any situation. They may see somebody walking by him and they're not looking straight, and they start thinking it's that person, or whatever. They may see any behavior they do that's misunderstood. So that's one of the things that you got to be careful about. And a lot of people with Asperger can sometimes have appearances or issues about them that may look odd, and they may get the wrong attention. And sometimes you can have people that may see something that's a little different, and they may immediately jump on it. Now, overall, this is also a good thing and bad thing. I mean, you got to understand there's a lot of people out there you will never fit in with. And, oh well, who cares what they think? They're full of shit usually. And so what you see in an environment, there'll be some people who are pretty cool that will give you feedback. But then you start to see the whole issue is you need to meet the right person that you have a connection with. Now, everybody has a sense of humor, and you may have certain people, you can make them laugh without trying to make them laugh, and they just see something and it's hilarious. And, certain things you say, they just really take to you. And then another person, you can make the best jokes in the world, and they will never laugh at it. They just never like you. They can humor you, but they just never feel it. And that's where the biology gets into play. And so you have this neurological response when people are infatuated or attracted to somebody. It's this mental arousal, and it'll trigger this attachment. And so certain personality types will click in the long run, or they will fall in the long run, where you get a clingy person who gets strongly bonded to somebody who's not as interested in them, and then boom, it doesn't work. Or you have two people that hook up for the wrong reasons, or somebody that feels that they're inadequate without a relationship, or they jump into it too fast. And so, with autism, you can run into people, if you run into the right people in relationships, you can have a great situation, or you can have a crappy one if you have people that you date for the wrong reasons. Like if you chase for people for looks, you may find somebody who manipulates you and gets in control of you and uses you as a tool. On the other hand, if you date for personality and meet people through situations you have something in common with, you might have a great connection with them, and you might have a great experience around them. And so this gets in the next part. Just be yourself. And also, when I say be yourself, sometimes the answer is no, don't be yourself. You got to identify with what's appropriate. Somebody may be obsessed on the wrong stuff, or they may be approaching relationships the wrong way, or they may be the wrong person for somebody, or the right person for the wrong one, or they may have situations that aren't going to work, and they may feel they wish it would. But you got to understand yourself, and you got to have a plan that will work. If you go around taking a general into a battlefield, and he is screwing up resources, trying to do stuff that's not going to work, he's going to fall. And if you are bothering or trying to pursue something with another person who doesn't like you, then, you may run the risk of being seen as a stalker, or, harassing somebody, or creepy, or end up inevitably shunned. And you could scare other people. Whereas, on the other hand, if you have somebody that you hang out with and then they have this great impression of you, other people may start to like you more. And so basically, this gets down to how your perception is. And, if you can crack jokes and be active in a class, or you're hanging out with people at a party or around them and you get positive attention and interpretation, it's more likely to have a good situation. Now, if you, on the other hand, have a situation where you are basically misunderstood, or you all of a sudden have a situation that could be dangerous, then that's another problem. And so we look at this. Now you have aggravating and mitigating factors in everything. And it's all synergy. A guy may go in an environment where he is not interpreted well by the other students, and they may think, oh, he's awkward, he's weird, whatever, or he's a dork, or whatever, or you have these narcissistic kinds of behaviors where they're trying to project their insecurities on this guy. But he then approaches several people who don't know him, and they think he's like some guy on the street as far as they're concerned. and then it gets around through them, and it gets to his classmates. And he may end up in a situation where a teacher may look at him like he's the worst one in the room, like, oh my God, you're disrupting the process, making other people uncomfortable. And so this is where, synergy plays in. And on the other hand, somebody else may have a good profile, and they're talking about appropriate stuff, having good interaction skills, and they can do quite well. And so it's basically going to get down to how you approach your situation. And if you were to go into a school with a lot of very talented, intelligent people, and you came off as the dumb dim bulb, you probably wouldn't be very well interpreted. If you, on the other hand, came in an environment where you were around people that looked up to you, you might do better. And if you were in an environment where you had people who had negative impressions of you, and then you turned around, surprised them, and showed that you were not the negative person, you might have a better situation. And it all depends on a lot of factors. Like, your environment's also very important. Some environments are full of, like a Shark Tank, and you may not want to hook up with anybody in those environments. You may have very bad crowds, and so, don't worry about it so much. You learn about, there's healthy and unhealthy relationships. And with autism, some people have boyfriends or girlfriends that are horrific, that treat them terribly, and they're very dominating. And then there's others that have very quality relationships. And it all depends on what it's based on and how it happens. And if you meet people that you connect well with and work with and that start to see you better, then you can start to be seen, not have problems with relationships. And you may struggle first couple months in the environment, and all of a sudden, boom, you're dating several people. And so I'm just going to tell you, everybody that goes through high school or college or junior high or, the real world or anywhere, they're going to have a string of unsuccessful situations, and they learn in the long run. I'm glad I did, because you know what? They all weren't the right person for me. And so this is where, with autism, you basically got to find what your talents are. And if people can see them, and you can have the sense of humor and making common ground about anything, and you can connect with people and relate to them, then that is where you can have a better situation. And being unique or having anything that's a little bit different from the average person actually is an advantage. A lot of people will have parents saying, oh, you got to control that autism. People are going to think you're weird. No, they're full of shit. Because if you can have a unique quality that makes you interesting and enigmatic, it's good. Now, if you go out there and don't control it and act in ways that would get you misinterpreted or stuff like that, it's different. And that is where, the synergy plays in. Like, I'm going to give you a situation. Bill goes to a college, and he gets expelled the first year, but he never did anything wrong. He said hi to some person. They accused him of stalking because they didn't think he went there. Then he turned around, had trouble in a class, and teachers saw him talking about maybe some kind of thing in class or whatever. They saw him, already misinterpreted him from the beginning. And one little thing triggered a dangerous response from authorities or anywhere. Another guy goes into a school, has a great response, and people think a lot of him. And so it's really a combination of factors that play into this puzzle. And, some people can be in one environment that really brings a dangerous side in them too. And then they can be in another that brings a good side. And there can be a lot of environments that bring out both, where they can have certain environments where there's a good side and then a bad one, and a good and bad, and their mental state can fluctuate. And we can all feel this desire for relationships. And so we are constantly battling each other and other people, trying to get up there and trying to, compete on stuff. And you just, a lot of times with autism, if people feel that they have more anxiety, see, this is now, next part, anxiety and depression and some of those feelings and obsession can be controlled with medication. And that may be a bigger part of relationships with Asperger. Because you could find you are too nervous around people trying to be something you're not. And then all of a sudden you take meds or, you kind of calm down and they see you differently. And all of a sudden it's a 180-degree shift. And you can find that there are a lot of hidden situations that could, if you do things just a little bit differently, you can find success. You just got to find what works for you and know yourself, and you'll do well. And so, basically autism is an advantage in the dating world. And a lot of women are fascinated with autism. That's why there's so many chicks in special education classes. And so that's my video, and thanks